All right, so we got that up and running. Let's continue to jump in. We're on page 42 of our LASH specialty textbooks. I do want to have an emphasis on allergy versus sensitivity, especially since we're going to be dealing with different products and different ingredients. And we're going to go over some of those products that are using for certain services related to the eyebrow and eyelashes. Okay. So in some areas I am going to go through and highlight. Those are going to be some concentrated areas I want you to review. One thing about it, when we look at anatomy physiology, you learn that, of course, the skin is a major organ or the largest organ of the body, but also the eyes is an organ, all right? And since the eyes are considered an organ and it has structures and things around it, it causes us, if we do services around those areas, to be super, super cautious. That's why licensure is in place to make sure that those individuals who are working close around that organ, that you're not just doing whatever you want, that there's regulations for what you do, there's guidelines, there's also penalties. So this LASH specialist license it carries a lot of weight. It carries a lot of weight because you're responsible. You consider the guru the expert into making sure this organ is not damaged. Okay. And so, although we're doing a beautification around the eye of the eye, we have to make sure that we keep things in amazing perspective. Let's look at allergies versus sensitivities. It says the eyelashes do what they can by catching airborne dust, pollen, debris, mold, and pet dander. There's things that just falls off of the pets. But we still have to have a common nose. So even though the lashes are going to do its job and help prevent things from falling into the eye, okay, we still have to make sure the human aspect that we're doing our job as well. So when we talk about sensitivities and allergies, I'm always talking about signs of infection. I'm always asking questions about seasons. What time of the year do you notice your hair grows? What time of the year do you notice your lashes fall out? What time of the year you notice that your eyes are more irritated? So when we're dealing with on the lash end, I am relating a lot of my questions initially around the times of the year. You would say, Ms. Cox, what does that mean? What does that mean? I especially want to know how. I want them to give me a story about their lash story, how their hair grows, how the lashes grow, how they fall out. What do they notice around certain times? Number one, that's going to help me and know when do they need to return for refills. Okay. Although the lashes are going to shed, okay, although they're going to shed, are they going to shed more around the time that she normally has shed? Okay. And so that just helps me book, that helps me know how often they needs to come in, all of that good stuff. So let's look at itching. Swollen eyes are made worse when rubbing. Okay. Itching, swollen eyes are made worse when rubbing. You know, I look at a lot of lash specialists. I look at a lot of videos, reels, wherever you may find information on lash specialists. Actually, the service. And I'm wondering why the clients always get up with runny eyes, with red flush eyes, pink eyes. It looks like it's pink. And it looks like there's a bad reaction to something. For us having all of the details, it's going to finally move into ingredients. Okay. We need a consultation for lash clients just like we need it for everything else. I need to know what they're allergic to, what they're not allergic to. because maybe one of my products may have an ingredient that they can't handle. And for individuals that can't handle that particular ingredient, there are other adhesives we can use. They may be less effective, but that may be in their range. Right? So how do we know that unless we ask questions, unless we become very observant, very good at reflective listening. Reflective listening is going to be listening to the clients talk about what they do every day to their lash, what they don't like, what they like. And reflective listening is you repeating back to them to get a form of clarity, making sure you guys are all on the same page. Ultimately, we want to make sure we do not spread bacteria. We do not harm the eye. That if it's a fume that irritates them, our job is to find a solution. There has to be another ingredient that's less irritable. Okay? We have to find something that's less itchy. All right. And so that begins to become our mission as lash specialties. How can I still continue and solve, give them what they want, but make it less irritating to the client? Sensitization. Okay. Remember, all bold terms need to be highlighted. Okay, sensitization falls into the family of sensitive. Okay, sensitize. An allergic reaction created by repeated exposure to a chemical or substance. Under the allergic reaction no longer occurs, the product causing a reaction must not be used. A person just may be very sensitive to the product. So when choosing your adhesives that you're going to use for lash specialty, for your lash services, you may have to test out a few. This also comes in where every client is not going to be able to use the same thing. So you're not going to be able to just buy one thing for everybody to use. Okay? Should have different adhesives that do different things. So this sensitization is when this person repeatedly, okay, repeatedly has had something before them. And mostly you find it in eyelash lift adhesives, and then eyelash lift solutions and eyelash adhesives. It literally is a common cause for a lot of the issues related around the eye. It's what we're using, okay? What we're using. At this point, when it comes to adhesives, I want to be using the best. I want to be using the most effective. That does not mean it's the most expensive, but that's why you're going to research ingredients, okay? Some people like the clear adhesives. Some people like the dark adhesives, the black adhesive. Do you guys know that the black adhesive has added coal, okay, that makes it black? And that some people are allergic to the coal. And the coal would be in reference to like activated charcoal. Some people are allergic to activated charcoal and their skin will burn when you put it on them. So if it burns the skin and then you have that active ingredient in an eyelash adhesive, it's gonna burn or irritate the eye as well. So we gotta have conversation with our clients. We gotta have questions. We can't say what's our favorite. We gotta have multiples, okay? Because everybody's not going to be the same. But that's just when we talk about products and ingredients, that chapter kind of goes right along with this section, okay? But that's something I always want you to keep in the back of your mind. There's a clear, and then there's a darker one, and if it's black, it has coal in it, okay? Coal such as activated charcoal, and you can find charcoal that's not activated, but at the same time, It's one of those sensitive, causes sensitivity to the skin. So your client could have a reaction to that. All right. Sensitization doesn't get better over time. Usually, once you develop an allergic reaction, it doesn't go away. You're going to see it all the time. Okay. Here's a term I want you to look at. It's a nice statement. Hypersensitivity. It's a lot of being sensitive. Hypersensitivity. You probably have seen clients who are hypersensitive. They just, can't use a whole lot of stuff. As soon as you put it on, it hurts. It's a wrap. Hypersensitivity irritations are not permanent, but you have to find a solution. So it could be you just search product after product after product. Okay. Once a person becomes hypersensitive to a product, a service that you're providing, you're gonna need time for that skin to calm down. Okay, you're gonna need time for it to bring it all the way down. So you have to be careful in knowing who is sensitive and who is not, who can be hypersensitive, who is not. And if they're booking a 40-minute service, a 50-minute service, this person definitely is gonna need more time. All right, and that time will be included in the booking. And of course, there's a fee for more time labor. Anything that hypersensitive can also damage the skin, which means the adhesive when left on the skin, any kind of ingredient that's causing the eye to irritate, it possibly could cause the skin to irritate as well. So you have to be very mindful and very careful. Drippings in your surroundings, make sure you're in an organized space. It says reasons for reactions. Symptoms can develop over time or immediately. Okay. In aesthetics, they said that individuals with pigmented skin, you cannot see the symptoms of like a reaction fast. They feel like the darker the skin, you can't really see what's going on. But with lighter Fitzpatrick's Caucasian European clients, you can instantly kind of see what's going on because first thing it's going to do is turn red. Okay. Redness, inflammation is going to be a sign of infection or something growing, something that is hypersensitive. Could be a particular area or the whole body. Okay, so symptoms can develop over time or immediately. You do have those clients that can withstand it, and then it just kind of at one point you just like, I use this all the time. Why are we having an issue? It's just particularly today we have an issue. Always going with something with no fragrance that is just going to help us out. Stuff that smell good makes us want to purchase them is not always good for the skin, always good for the hair, not always good for the nails. Okay. For instance, if I was doing a facial and an adverse reaction, I'm putting the cleanser on, I put the toner on, and then I went back in for my next product. When I put the next product on, the client was like, oh, I feel a little pain. I feel a little, I'm sensating. I feel something. They may not say the word burning, but I ignored it and I kept going. That is going to intensify. Okay. After a while, your skin is going to show reaction, which means it should get red. It should bump up. It should swell up. It should have it should show more pain. It will have a welt like whales, WHEAL. They'll start popping up in those particular areas. Those are signs your skin is saying, stop, help us. We're going through trauma. Help us. All right. You're around the eye and lash brow area, it does the same thing. Okay. You're gonna see inflammation. And I want you to look at this. Itching is probably your first one that you see. Itching. Okay. He's like, hey, people will say the word burning, but I say sensating. By psychological saying the word burning, the client thinks, am I supposed to burn? Okay. And you got other clients around. So you don't want clients to have the experience of think that, oh, I'm not gonna get that because that made her burn. I'm not gonna get that because that burns. Okay. So you have to be mindful in the words you choose for marketing purposes as well. So itching will probably be your initial sign. And after that, you may see redness of the skin, blisters, hives, rashes. That comes up really, really quick. The eyes can swell, puff. You get real teary-eyed. That tells you something is going on. Something that you're using is causing your skin, is causing your eye area to respond. All right. And so a lot of times it takes just a moment to get back together, or it may take weeks, days to weeks. Okay. So be very mindful of that. The products you're using, which means most, if I'm intimate around the eye area with my products, I am going to go for quality. And since we're going to research ingredients, quality may translate into more expensive products because the ingredients are going to cost a little more. All right. And so cheap ingredients for cheap products to use around the eye, and the eye is so closely, eye and brow so closely knit together. I don't want to have ingredients that are not the best for my client. I'll leave it at that. Okay. So you may have to spend a little money. Okay. Just to make sure you got the right ingredients. Okay. And that you're doing your clients well. All right. If clients are going to have allergies, what do? That's where that consultation comes in. Before the service, that consultation comes in, and that client record card or the QR code, our clients, it takes them to a link, they fill it out. Once they fill that out, we're going to be able to, excuse me, once they fill that out, we're going to be able to look on there and see what are some of the issues they got going on. That's going to help us build what we're going to do and whether the client can even get the service as well. So we got to have that consultation. You got to have it signed. Okay. Which means they've been totally honest with you. You also need to have a consent form. Okay. A waiver. That waiver says that you've been honest with me and anything happens, you can't sue me. I'm not held liable. You got to have that. And then sometimes people go a little further and have an eyelash extension form. Okay. And all of those forms just protects you from clients wanting to sue. Okay. And it protects you. And it also ensures that everything they've told you is real, is honest. And at any time that they did not give you the truth and something happens, you're not held liable. Okay. Also, ASCP. I don't know if I've shared that, but I'll share it again tomorrow. ASCP, because you're in our school, you can get insurance up to $100,000 while a student, and it's only $15 to join this organization. But it's a major benefit for liability. The forms are already built, and you have it for about a year, and then when you become licensed, you can go up to the professional one, and still you have that coverage that covers you. iPads, the gel in iPads can cause allergic reactions, so be very careful with that. Always checking the ingredients of the iPads. Okay. iPads should never come in contact with the inside of the eye. The iPads are 1 to 2 millimeters under the lash line, and never reuse the iPad. So these iPads, will they be single use or multi-use? What y'all think? Are the iPads single use or multi-use?
Single.
You're absolutely right. Okay, iPads are single use, and some clients could be allergic to the iPads. All right. And if you have them too close, it could really irritate the eyeball. So they're saying make sure that they are 1 to 2 millimeters under the lash line and never reuse the iPads. Okay. The iPad should not come in contact with the inside of the eye. So if a pad placed over the waterline under the skin, swelling can present as mild redness. So you need to pull that up, okay, and place it properly. It can create a burning sensation or itching just from using the iPad. So you got to make sure you're placing it where it needs to go. Okay. It can also cause bruise or bloodshot eyeballs. Okay. Or it's called corneal abrasion, scraping or scratching or the cornea. So you got to be very, very careful. That is a small, minute area. So even placing the iPads are very important. Okay. So I'm going to highlight this for you to come back and review. Let's look at tapes. Reaction to tape usually present as generalized redness, swelling, bumpy, itchy skin. So if these individuals are allergic to the tape, once you remove the tape, you should have no issues. Okay, but think of alternative. If we got tape, what are your alternatives? Is there an alternative ingredient that helps you if someone is allergic to the tape? Here's the mama jamma, okay? Adhesive. Cyanalkylate, okay? It's a main ingredient in almost all adhesives. And a sensitivity to it may rule out eyelash application. So here's the thing, guys. For clients who cannot get lash extensions, you have to offer an alternative, or they just won't have the service. Okay. The alternative to lash extensions is getting their own lashes lifted. You either can get the lash. Some people are allergic to the adhesive, so that means they're allergic to the glue. But they still want lashes. I can't do that, okay? Because it's gonna be in harm's way of you. I can swell, gonna swell shut. Okay, it's gonna puff up, it's gonna burn, it's gonna be red, it's gonna irritate. So you cannot get eyelashes because of the adhesive that you're allergic to. So the next solution would be lash lift. Okay, so that's just a short procedure. And basically we take your lashes and we perm them. Okay. And so we put half the rollers, and based on the shape or the curl you want, you can have a roller that shape. And then we put a solution on that's going to lift the lashes. If they cannot take a chemical solution, then they're not going to be able to get the lashes unless they just take them out the pack and put them on. Okay. So clients, there are solutions, resolutions to their issues, but they're very limited. All right. Cyanalkylate reactions can be difficult to distinguish from general irritation. So you're going to have to do a little bit of investigation. An allergic reaction to cyanalkylate shows up as red, swollen, itchy lash line. Or it can cause heavy swelling that closes the eye shut. So when you see this, you're saying, oh, this is different. I've seen some of these symptoms before, but this is a symptom of somebody who's allergic to the adhesive. You can actually have them come in, y'all, 24 hours to 48 hours before their service, if it's a first timer, to really see if this is something that you're allergic to. I would put a couple of them on, all right, and see how well the skin does with that adhesive. If it does well, I'm going to use it. I'm going to continue to book them. But if it doesn't, if it reacts negatively, okay, swollen, itchy already, I'm not going to be able to use it. I'm not going to be able to service the client. And you will have clients know that they are allergic to it and still want to get it done. All right. I think we saw a picture of the day where there was a condition where the eyelid was kind of turned in. So the more swelling that it does, it kind of folds down and turns in. You don't want that. So now you got the hair that irritating the eyeball. Okay. So let's look at this. This reaction can occur even if the skin doesn't come in contact with the adhesive, just by it being there. All right, just by it being there. Dyes. Here's what I was talking about with the cold. Carbon black is a pigment or dye added to black lash glue to make it dark. Now, a lot of people will choose black in any adhesive because, you know, you want it close. The hair is black. I want it close. I want it to look amazing. But some people are allergic to carbon black. All right. And notice when I talk about carbon black, hold on one moment. Hi, this is Destiny. Hello. All right. Okay. So as we're back here, carbon black, they usually get this by coal. We look at it as activated charcoal. Okay. It's used in mascara as well to make the dark color, you guys. It's a pigment or dye added to black lash glue to make it dark. Some people are allergic to carbon black. You may be used as an adhesive without it. Okay. You may need to use an adhesive without it. So usually you will opt for your client only being able to use the clear. Okay. Clear or the white. But you know, in order for it to be white, there's an added mica as well. So you got to make sure you will try to use something as clean as possible. So it probably would be a clear. So some people could be allergic to the dye and the adhesive. And then here's when it comes to latex. How many of you guys back in the day have used the weave glue as adhesive? Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Am I the only one to hear my hand up that you have? And y'all are young. So maybe your moms and aunts use the weave glue for lash extensions. But y'all, it was weave glue is latex. All right, it's latex. A lot of people are allergic to latex. Notice that I don't have any latex gloves at the school. I am allergic to latex. Okay, which means if it rubs me, I'm gonna get swollen, red, irritating, itch. It's not really, really bad, but you can tell that somebody has touched me with latex. All right. And so I don't do the gloves. And how I found out, someone gave me a facial and they had latex gloves at their feet. And I told them, I said, I can't do it. If those gloves are latex, that's where I'm getting this sensitivity from, this itching from. And it wasn't from the product, it was from the gloves. And her just touching me repeatedly with the gloves on my face. It just felt like something crawling. And I went and got it checked out. And I had noticed throughout my time just being a hairdresser, I never liked latex gloves, and that's what it was. It was just, it's one of my things. I cannot do latex. All right. So you may have clients also, you may have to put that on your advising form is, are you allergic to latex? Are you allergic to any dyes? Because clients that are allergic to like permanent color and semi-permanent color, they have an issue with lashes as well because there's colorants in the lash glues, in the adhesives. This person may not react well to lash tint. All right. So it's going to be very, very important that we go a little bit deeper in our consultation and just start saying, hey, are you allergic to any colors, any dyes? Are you allergic to any latex? On top of being allergic to latex, latex can close your pores. It can put a shutter over your pores, which means nothing going in, nothing coming out. So everything that's supposed to be pumped out daily, oil and sweat, just starts to build up and build up and build up. And you'll start to see now where that latex is, you'll see that eye start to swell. You will see it start to be sensitive and touch. All right. You may even see like oil backup, which may cause pus and to breed with bacteria. But it says latex adhesive reactions are similar to cyanoacrylate reactions with itchy red skin and possibly hives or rashes. So even if you choose to do the individual lashes you find in the store, the clusters, okay, don't use latex. And even if you choose to do the lash extensions, they are more detailed. You got to be careful about the ingredients and the colors that are inside of the lash adhesives. The lash adhesives are going to be an important tool for everybody to understand. Most clients know that they have an allergy to latex, okay? Make sure that's a question. Always ask, never assume. Improper isolation. Somebody just not taking the time to isolate properly, okay? It can cause lashes to not cycle through the full growing process. And I'm gonna say cycle through the full growing process because our lashes have a lifespan. All right. You know when they're going to shed. This is why it's important for me to ask about what season do they see growth? What season do they see a lot of eyelashes fall out? Okay. It's going to be important because I can pinpoint their growth spurs, and then I can tell them in advance. Normally, you will have hair that gets shed around this time of the year, so you're gonna find more of your lash hair shedding. In preparation, instead of you coming in every 3 weeks, you may have to come in every 2 weeks for refills. Okay, at least they may say, "Well, I don't really need a refill. Schedule a refill." Okay, because if the artificial lash has to be attached to the natural lash. When that natural lash has a shedding process, you're going to lose the natural lash and the artificial one. All right. And if there are no lashes, no natural lashes, you cannot attach anything artificial. So that timing about the seasons and when you see growth spurts and when you see hair falls out, it's going to be very important to a lash specialist because you're going to be able to clock everything about that client. And guess what? If the client goes somewhere else, they're going to have some difficulties because no one else will have done their work. They're going to always come back to you, all right? Simply because you know their rotations. All right. The client being unable to brush their lashes, it definitely leads to itchiness, discomfort, because remember, one hair, one lash. And if you're doing a whole lot, you're buckling up a whole lot of individual lashes, you're going to have a problem. Okay. Application too close to the skin. There are measuring points of where this lash is supposed to go. So when we talk about application, you'll be able to see the lash adhesive and the lash should not touch the skin at all. Okay. It should not touch the skin at all. Now, something that's too close to the skin or clogs the skin, blocks the skin from breathing, it can cause a sty. Okay. Contact dermatitis. So itching can occur, redness, pain. It could be inflamed, whereas looks like a pimple and can burst. Now we got a whole nother problem. So application too close to the skin can cause some issues. Eyelash lifting. We're going to do some eyelash lifting, guys, because for those individuals who do not want lashes, you have to have an alternatives. And I went into the school, well, Friday when I left, before I left the school, I pulled out the lash tinting. Um, I pulled out our binders for lashes. So we're definitely going to be working on that this month. All right. So eyelash lifting. Everybody is going to learn eyelash lifting. Okay. Because you need to have that in your arsenal when your clients are not able to get your lash extensions. And then if someone just has sensitivities and they're just like, oh, you're too close to my eye, this may be the option I give you. Because you're going to be wasting my time on everything else, you know? So eyelash lifting can irritate the skin as well because this reminds me of a perm solution. So you would need to put the solution on to break the bun. All right. So your hair has buns. If someone ever had a relaxer before, you notice that the hair was curly, and then when you put the relaxer product on, it became straight. So those buns, those chemical buns, broke. That's exactly what we do to the eyelashes. We're gonna break the buns in a chemical stance. We break the buns. Once we break the buns, we're gonna apply the solution to rebuild the buns, but it rebuilds in the shape we want it to be. So we relax, so we want it straight, we smooth it straight. In eyelash lifting, we have a roller and we roll the hair over this roller, and the bun forms in the shape of the roller. So if you want a small tight curl, you're going to get a small roller. If you want a more volume curl, you're going to get a large roller. Okay. And so same thing if you was going to rod your hair. It's straight. You put the rod on and you set them in the dryer and it becomes curly. We're going to do the same thing, but for the eyelashes, not for the hair, but for the eyelashes. Okay. So there is a solution that breaks the bun. There is a solution that causes it to get back in shape. And guess what we do after that? We neutralize. By neutralizing, we lock in that new shape for the eyelashes. Y'all, all of this takes less than 15 minutes. Brow lamination literally takes less than 5 minutes, but costs a minimum of $60 in local spas here in Memphis. Can you imagine how many brow laminations you can do? And they're $60 a piece. So when you don't have facial clients, come on, I got some more stuff I can work. When you don't have this or don't have that, I got 5 minutes to spare. I got some more stuff I can work. Okay. And so even if you are a lash specialist, I see beautiful, beautiful lashes, but they are not taking care of the brows. Beautiful, beautiful lashes, but they can't wax. They don't know how to tint. They don't know how to tweeze. Okay. I want you to be the all around. If you're going to be good at something, good at everything that it touches. So eyelash lift could definitely be something that irritates because there's chemical solutions. We're going to go over those chemical solutions in class. Eyelash and eyebrow tinting. Here we go talking about the dyes again. If a person is allergic to permanent color, that's what you need to ask them. When you get your hair colored, is it permanent or do you get like a rinse or something that it washes out or shampoos out or, over a period of time? Sometimes you got to break it all the way down. So eyelash and eyebrow tinting can also cause the client to irritate. Okay. It can cause watery eyes, blisters, rashes, inflammation. Weak lashes can result from eyelash and eyebrow tinting. You do it too much. You can develop skin conditions such as contact dermatitis. Okay, because the tint touches the skin, and what we call also kind of over processing. The tint is not supposed to be on the skin; it's supposed to be on the hair. Okay, but here's the thing: there are so many ingredients. There's so many not ingredients. There's so many different types of color techniques when it comes to brow and tinting. I say color categories. You got your semi, you got your permanent, you got your temporary, you got your semi, you got demi, you got permanent, and then of course you can lighten it. So I think I'm gonna have fun in the brow tinting category and teaching you that as well, because I'm a colorist. So I absolutely love when we get to shift the color and add to or take away. Okay, but clients could be allergic to that solution as well. Brow lamination, it should just remind you of a relaxer. So instead of using the solution to curl, you use the same solution. Instead of using a solution to curl and give you a lash lift, you can use the same solution on the eyebrow to smooth out the eyebrows and make it straight. So think about a relaxer for the brows. Okay, brow lamination. You could be allergic to it. The solution used for eyebrow lamination can also cause redness, swelling, itching, and bumps. Okay, if it contacts the skin around the brows. Remember, did anybody remember how long it takes for brow lamination? Can somebody put it in the chat? I think I talked about it a few minutes ago. Brow lamination. Who's listening?
Did you say 5 minutes?
Yep. How much did I say it normally costs in Memphis? If you can research it.
Bro, it's about 200 something. It's starting at 100 to 200, right?
It can at a lot of spas in Memphis, it's an extra $60. But that's just Memphis, y'all. That's just Memphis. You know, Memphis is behind on some stuff. So you know, if you go out East Coast, it's more expensive because they are big on brows. You get $100 just for brows. You can go to LA and $100 is nothing for them because they're paying $100 for brows. You're gonna get their wax and you're gonna get a tint. That's $100 easy. Now add brow lamination on top. Yes. And I should not East Coast, West Coast. Go to California. You're gonna get easily $100 for brows. Easy. Its brows are a big thing. And y'all, $60 is, we got that, my last lash class, we researched on the business aspect of it, who was offering brow lamination here. And it's a couple of spots that offer, and they were minimum, they were $60. So even if you just start out at 50, $60 for 5-minute service, that's all I'm gonna say. Maya, I expect you to add all this to your menu if you had not already. And estheticians, we're working on this. I want you to add it to your menus as well. Okay. Because it's a whole service. It's a whole service. All right. Yes, it's very exciting. So brow lamination, y'all, takes 5 minutes. And I use reflector seal. I use on the brow tinting, I can use a lot of different ones. Okay. But I've discovered Reflector Seal lately. It's a professional brand. In the last 2 years, I discovered them. It's a professional brand, but they also provide education. And you really, when you're growing and you have the skill, now you just want to make it better. You want to enhance what you know, and you want the professional product. I would go with somewhere that's going to provide education. Okay, that I have accessible to education. I can call some people. And so I use reflective seal. Is reflective seal cheap? No. Y'all, I'm gonna show you. I went to the wholesale beauty supply store on Winchester. Okay. You guys, I think we get a discount. I'm gonna have to do some IDs tomorrow, so I'm gonna take everybody a picture and send you an ID. But you'll go into the store, show your ID, you should get a discount on some of the items. They have brow tint there. They used to have reflective seal, but they used to have a lot of it. But I had to pay $100 just for the lamination. And y'all, it's less than an ounce of product. It come in a tube, but it's less than an ounce of product. And so sometimes, going for what you know, in order for you to get where you got to go, you got to spend a little money. So let me spend this $100. It took me a minute to get it, but I wanted my students to learn, and then I wanted them to learn about quality and products. So it was a sacrifice. So I spent the $100, got the brow lamination products. Okay. When I got the brow lamination products, it took 4 minutes. Y'all, we have done maybe 4 or 5 people out of that. So if I was charged just a minimum of $50, $60, I got my money's worth after doing 2 people. Okay. But we have so much more left to do so many more clients because it don't take a lot. So can you imagine that $100 investment, how much money you're going to make on top of that? Okay. So, and also this is why we go outside to see what's popular. So if you know it's going to come back to Memphis, and it's going to be wherever you choose, Memphis, Arkansas, Mississippi, or wherever you choose to work, um, it's going to come back to our area. And you're going to be ready and already equipped and know how to do it. Okay. So brow lamination is not something that one ethnic group gets. Everybody can get it. I even talk about it to my barbers. I even talk about it to my men because they got those bushy eyebrows. And you got more men now, here's statistics, that spend just as much as women on aesthetic services, facials, manicures, pedicures. They get their eyebrows done. They call them metrosexual. They care about, they're still masculine men or feminine men, it don't matter. And they care about the aesthetic. Okay. So yeah, that's a whole nother bag, a whole nother market. Grooming in men is a whole big door that you guys can walk into because now they're paying and they're familiar with the services and they're willing to pay just as much as for the services as the women pay. So if you want to break out, I would also have a specialty service for men as well. So brow lamination, yes, these individuals can be allergic to it, but you'll make sure you're not sloppy in the application. You're only putting it on the lash. And remember, it's a 4 minute, 5 minute service. Some companies may say 10 minutes, but y'all, no longer than 10. It may sit like an enzyme. Okay. Here's the thing with brow lamination, you can do brow tinting with it in the same service, the same service time. So I can do a lamination first, and behind it, excuse me, I can do a tinting. All right. And so just be mindful. The only thing I would say we will have a contraindication about is waxing. But waxing would not be a problem because wax is only on the area we're going to remove hair. And you guys are not going to put this product on areas where hair is not there. But in the beginning, you do want to kind of space your services until you learn those services, and then you can kind of combine them into a bundle. You'll look at your profits coming in, it'll skyrocket. Okay, it'll skyrocket, definitely. But I want you to come back to that. But know that yes, clients could be irritated with it. You can do testing on it 24 to 48 hours before, but we're definitely going to include those in our trainings for June. As I was talking about testing, page 44 of your ebook talks about patch tests. Okay, patch tests. A patch test is also called predisposition test. I'm gonna put it in the chat if it's not a term. Um, and you guys know, I should have broke that up. Okay. Predisposition test. That's a patch test. Any chemicals need to be done. Look, it says 24 to 48 hours prior. So if you're doing lash tint, brow lamination, lash lift, your clients need to come in the day before or 2 days before to get a patch test. I don't need to have this thing scheduled and then you allergic to my products. One, I've lost my time and I lost my money for that month. Okay. I've wasted your time is one thing you can't get back. But the patch test is done so we can see the reaction of the skin, the reactions of the skin, of the product to the skin. So it says if you or your client have concerns about reactions, schedule a patch test 48 hours or more before a service. If there's any reaction, so I will test the product on them and I call them the next day or tell them to keep in touch with me. Let me see what's going on with the skin. Okay. Do not use the product. If we got redness, swelling, pus, pain, I'm not using the product. That means your skin has a bad reaction. You can't, and this is what I have. So if you don't have an alternative that pulls out those ingredients, you may have to just forward them to someone else. Adhesives, you're going to do 4 to 8 lashes per eye. Okay, and then tell them to come back. Lift, you're going to apply the product to the nape of the neck. So the back of the neck, behind the ear, side of the arm. Some people say in the fold of the elbow. Same thing with lash tint. Behind the ear, the neck or the elbow, the tape. Apply the product behind the ear or to the side of the arm. So you'll put tape on their arm and tell them you'll call them in 24 hours. If there's bad reactions, y'all gonna see itching, you're gonna see redness, you're gonna be complaining, you're gonna know that this is an issue. If you don't have any of those things happening, we can proceed with the service. And usually this is at the beginning. If a client starts taking medications, y'all, these reactions are going to change. If they start taking topical medications, like they're going to a dermatologist, these are contraindications. They may not be able to get those services because anything on the skin will affect the skin. This is why we don't, if someone's taking retinol and they got creams, you can't get a wax. You can't get a chemical peel because I put that product on there, your skin gonna immediately start to burn. Or you can't get a wax. So as soon as I put the wax on there, your skin gonna burn. And as I pull it up, the skin gonna come off with it. So we need to initially do this and always do updates and conversations with our clients and ask about their medications and get them to sign those forms every couple of months. All right. How to handle adverse reactions. So if you do get issues, flush the eye with the chemicals. You're going to flush the eye. The eye can become very watery. It can sting, can burn. Flush the eyes with eye wash. All right. So this is where our first aid kit always comes in. Educate the clients to immediately start flushing that area with water. All right. Water is a universal substance, so it starts to null and void everything. Here are our terms. Okay. Here are our terms. We've seen some of these terms earlier in the week, last week. These are some conditions. Okay. We picked up a few of the terms. Thursday, we're going to pick up at these terms, Maya. All right. We're going to do your term quiz. So we'll go over some LASH specialty quizzes just a little bit, and then we'll move into chapter 4. All right. So it's exciting, y'all. That was good. So chapter 4 is the client safety and infection control. This is nothing new, but this is a focus of why we have a LASH license. And so we definitely make sure we go over this. Your exam has a focus on client safety and infection control. Okay. So we'll go over some of the things that you see on your exam. What are some of the questions? So everybody dive deep into state board prep. All right. Everybody in the weeks to come. So I want everybody to, if you have any questions about anything, call me. Remember, this is your opportunity to study. I want you to be alert. I want you to know what you're talking about. We're going to reassess always in the classrooms, but I want you to take some private time and get your study on. Okay. You guys are going to be amazing. I'm not just blowing smoke. I really love what I do. I really want you to succeed. And you know, the Bible says you shall know them by their fruit. You guys are my fruit. I'm nobody unless you succeed. So if you don't have nobody pushing you, I'm pushing you. God dang it, I'm pushing you. You have to get this license because I know you've been waiting. Your life is gonna change. I don't know why we have the motivational moment. Y'all, it gets hard sometimes at the end. I just want y'all to hold on. Graduation is just around the corner, and I'm gonna have that update tomorrow. And I stated it Monday, I believe. I gave the date and the time, and we'll just update and talk about it tomorrow. But y'all are so close, and it may seem like a lot of stuff going on, but stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. In order for me to be successful, I gotta see you cross the line. I gotta see you. You know how the runners go across the mark and they got the tape and they just so excited. I don't care if you crawl across there, you run, you jump, or whatever. You gotta cross that tape. In order for me to go to my next level, you gotta cross that tape. And so my job is to make sure you get over to the other side. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. I will see you in a building for my LASH, for my aesthetic students tomorrow. And Maya, I will see you Thursday. Okay. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. Let's see what y'all get. Yes, 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 yes. Have a blessed and amazing day. Don't work too hard for all my people at work. Y'all be blessed.